Ladies and gentlemen, Dora and Dick, thank you very much. Dick actually gave me his speech, so I think he wants to... Should I take it once more? No. You will have it. You will copy it. It is, of course, very strange to ask a Swede outside the Eurozone to have intervene in this actually very severe moment. But now I'm here, so I will do it anyway. And back home, I am, I think, considered as a sort of Euro maniac. And I'm regularly getting emails saying that I'm a traitor because I'm advocating the euro in my country, even though that we lost the referendum in 2003. And the reason is that I think it cannot be divided, the euro and Europe, at the current state of play. And what's happening in Europe is, as many have said, extremely serious, I would say. I think we can all agree on this. I will say something about 3 topics as I'm concluding remarks. Why the euro? History is there, as always. Number 2, the problems and what has been done. And number 3, the future and what is happening in this very moment, and some concluding remarks. Why the euro? There has been a lot of quotations from different liberal politicians and historians. I will quote Mao Zedong. I was reading him as a young student in the old days. I was never on that side, but I studied him. He once said that you are not supposed to lift up a rock and then drop it on your own feet. You are supposed to carry it a bit away and then drop it. You could say that we should only talk about future, and I think that is a bit dangerous, because all of us can learn out of history, and Europe is, and will always be, according to me, history. There are some questions to be asked, and perhaps we can have some answers. Without the euro, would Germany be reunificated without the euro? We remember Mrs. Thatcher. We remember Monsieur Mitterrand. The only one actually was supporting a united Germany at that time was Gorbachev and George Bush, the older one, the wiser one. And but the rest of Europe, I'm not so sure. And if Germany wouldn't have been reunited, would we have the great enlargement in May 2004? I don't know. I'm not so sure. Would we have the Copenhagen criteria, as Uffe Ellemann-Jensen in Copenhagen stated it? I'm not that sure. And I think we as the liberals, we have to try to recall this. Because in these days, at least in my country, where the students, they are not and never really reading their history, I'm trying to convince my children that perhaps the fall of the Berlin Wall was a tremendous achievement in European history. I don't know if they really know that. I think this is a part of the history of the euro that need to be recalled. And the ones that should support this and recall this memory is liberals, because we have always been true liberals, true European and liberal friends. And I think this is a message that actually can stand even today. It might be difficult, but if we are not trying, no one will listen to any one of us if we're not saying a thing. The problems and what has been done, Dora and Dick, you have mentioned it. And you could say that they did know everything, and this was so historically consequently going to fall. The euro is a sort of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the two coins. I think that is making it actually too easy. Because if you read the history books, again, you will see that they knew it. They knew it. But perhaps they didn't know about Lehman Brothers. Could perhaps be better with Lehman Sisters, who knows? But that was the start of everything. And they didn't know about Alan Greenspan either. In the crisis committee that I was a member of, that Wolf Klintz was the chairman, I think we come up with 15 or 20 different reasons for these enormous crises. And the politicians. And now you could say, perhaps these two are to blame. Yes, perhaps partly, but I'm not going to do that, because I'm going to blame myself. We had an enormous crisis in Sweden in the 80s, in the 90s. I was a part of it. And we were behaving so dreadfully recklessly. And what did happen? Yeah, the market told us, hi guys, we're going to crush you if you're not doing anything. I was in the Standing Committee of Finance when we had an interest rate of 500% going up to 2,000%. That was close to a banana monarchy. And then everything was destroyed. You remember the days of the 90s. So, and I and my colleagues, we were to blame. Why didn't we do anything? Eventually, we did. And I think, if I go to you, Dick, when I started in politics, you should always separate monetary policy to financial and fiscal policy. Monetary policy was out when the ECB started. It was out in my country as well, because the central bank, the Riksbank, is independent. But there are other measures. And therefore, I think we should consider the responsibility of the Commission and also the responsibility of national parliamentarians. But that is history. So we can leave that apart. But I think we should remember it as a sort of case of facts. What's been done now, and we have been mentioning it all the time in different seminars, you know, not the sex pack, the six-pack, more prevention, correction, and stricter budget discipline, the European semester, banks, recapitalization, financial authorities, a tsunami of financial regulations, which I'm believe in, but not that wholeheartedly. Treaty changes, at least a minor one. What's the Germans call it? Rettungsschirm, the FSF, the ESM. Taxes, EU 2020, infrastructure, innovation, research, and meetings. They had a meeting even yesterday, and it didn't change so much. So I do think that a lot has been happening, and we are on the right track. Europe is on the right track. The future and what is actually happening right now. Are we going into a political union? Will we have more of intergovernance? Andrew will not like it. Will we have more of harmonized taxes, the free CTB, VAT? Will we have a complete fiscal union, a budget oversight, more authorities? When I was a national parliamentarian, no one should say to me that taxes was supposed to be decided in Brussels. It would give me shivers. But I don't think that we are that far away. And more Mr. or Mrs. Euros. A European Treasury, perhaps? Economic governance in a stricter form? Not minor treaty changes, major treaty changes, the FTT, the financial transaction tax, and I would say that that is not the Tobin tax. It's something else that the Commission is proposing at the moment. Euro bonds might be there. The role of the ECB, we'll be discussing that later on, I suppose. Sky is the limit. Will that be the message from the ECB? Did you know that the ECB has, do you know how many women there are in the ECB ruling? Do you know how many women they have in the ECB? Zero. Not the executive board, not the Eurozone +2, not even the 27 +2. 29 members in the General Council and no woman. It's a shame, isn't it? Yeah. When I mentioned it to Draghi in the hearings, he said that this is not my responsibility, it's the member states. And do we have experts that are solving this? In my old alma mater, the university, we had a saying, everyone his or her own professor. And I think that could perhaps be a sort of wisdom of the year. Everyone has their own experiences and their own choices and their own proposals. I think that is also very dangerous, a sort of cacophony of messages all over Europe. Conclusions. There are dark skies. There are always dark skies. There will always be dark skies. But after the rain, there will be the sun. That's the way life is, and that's where politics is as well. And I see some flickering bright sun over there. Here, starting here in Palermo. But I will start with the dangers and the dark skies. Two-speed Europe. From me coming from a non-Eurozone country, it's extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. We are a small country, export-oriented up in the north. We could be sort of leftovers of the Europe. You will be better down in Greece, in this area. And Germany will do most of it. And the UK, are they helping us in these days? I don't think so. Will we be the part of the non-Euro Plus Pact? There are 4 countries: Hungary, Czech Republic, the UK, and Sweden. What a bunch. I always said that to my friends in Stockholm. What a gang of being friends with. Even these two-speed Europe will have an influence on all issues. That is what I think. And you can see it already in the European Parliament. There are discussions saying that we should have a sort of house for those inside the Eurozone, and then Andrew and some other of us outside the Eurozone. Probably Andrew will stand in the middle. But the rest of us will be outside. I asked Alexander Lambsdorff the other day, may I share the same corridor with you? And he said yes. Perhaps that's an improvement. Competition. Jeopardizing the single market with this two-speed Europe. Competition, China, the BRIC countries. We are getting our energy from Russia and the money from China. That's the Europe we have created. Question mark, question mark. What about democracy? I salute Mario Monti. I think Mario Monti is the one that I actually know best of all the prime ministers for several and different reasons. He is everything but Silvio Berlusconi. Everything. But is he elected? No. Is that a problem for us? Yes. Lucas Papademos, I met him also several times in his capacity as deputy president. Is he elected by the people? No. Was he a part of the Greek problem? Yes. I think, As liberals, we should say elections, democratically elected members of government and parliament that's the only answer to these problems. Otherwise, we will have more despair, more riots, and we could end up in actually a Europe that we couldn't dream on 5 years ago. I say when I'm out in my country, why do we think that these two generations after the Second World War is vaccinated to nationalism, protectionism, xenophobia, racism, or even fascism? Why should that be the case? Europe history is bloody. These 60 years is a sort of bracket of peace and stability, and we need to defend this. And who should defend this if not we, the liberals? And may I conclude, dear liberal friends, by saying that I'm absolutely sure if we bring that message to the streets, to the workplaces, to the political institutions, and presenting the alternatives for the European citizens, not just trying to follow the breeze wherever it goes, I think we're going to be successful. And absolutely, and I think that from my heart, isn't that actually what we are supposed to do? Isn't that why we are liberals? So as Alexander Lambsdorff said yesterday, I'm a true optimist. Thank you.